UFC Fight Night London, Edwards versus Brady just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card. And what an absolute disaster that was! For my predictions, for English fighters in general, for Jan Blachowicz enjoyers, for fight fans, what an absolute disaster of a card. We get absolute bangers with nasty finishes back to back, wasted on the apex. But when we get a crowded event, we get this. Okay? Every bad decision went against my picks. Don't get me started. We're going to start with the early prelim opener of Guram Kutateladze versus Kaue Fernandes. Now, I said Kaue Fernandes was dangerous and had finishing potential. I didn't realize Guram and Vucenic were so bad that they made each other look amazing. Therefore, I believed they were both great. Turns out Gamrot's terrible. I don't know where that came from. But Guram had him beat on short notice. A very close fight. Arguably could have went to Gamrot, but still. Kaue Fernandes beat up on Guram Kutateladze. Guram assembled the Caucasus Avengers for his corner, and he got absolutely cooked in front of them. Brazil is one up tonight, 100%. They are up right now. Brazilians are celebrating around the world. He had Ilia Tybura, Alejandro Tybura. I don't remember who else he had in his corner. I think maybe Marab. Was Marab? I don't know if Marab was there, but still. Hamzat Chimaev was in this guy's corner. And he got his leg chewed up by Kaue Fernandes. Fernandes dropped him with a head kick in round one, was dropping him with low kicks throughout the fight, was the only one getting takedowns in the fight, and was chewing up his legs and beating him up to a decision win. Kaue Fernandes looked absolutely sensational. A guy who, didn't look like he was going to be much early in his career, but has really, I guess, turned a corner in his career recently and looked absolutely amazing against Guram Kutateladze. Didn't see it coming. I thought Guram would be a tougher guy to beat. I thought you had to be someone a little better to beat Guram. But turns out Kaue Fernandes gets it done dominantly and wins a decision there. We move on. Nathan Fletcher versus Caolan Loughran. I've rewatched the fight. Nathan Fletcher won rounds 2 and 3. Nathan Fletcher won rounds 2 and 3. He just did. Round 1 was, competitive round, but Loughran was getting a takedown, so he separated himself, and he got a lot of them. I think he got 3 takedowns in the first round, and he didn't do much with them, but he got the takedowns, and he was kneeing the thigh and doing little things here and there. I thought Nathan Fletcher was the one being busier in those positions as the fight went on in the second and third round. I thought Nathan Fletcher won the second and third round pretty clear. Second round, obviously, there's no debate. He gets a takedown on Loughran. Loughran gets back up. He gets the back of Loughran for what feels like nearly the rest of the round. I think maybe Loughran escaped towards the end of the round, but Fletcher's on his back for the majority of it, punching him in the head, landing shots, Sean Bradying him. He's Sean Bradying him in that second round, you guys. Is now a term we're going to have to use. Nathan Fletcher wins the second round. Loughran allegedly hands in the gloves. I didn't notice it, but people were saying that he had his fingers in the gloves. I didn't see it. Round 3. Again, Loughran's doing his thing, but damage. I thought Nathan Fletcher landed a better shot. He was teeing off on Loughran at the end of the round with damaging shots, elbows in the pocket, smashing him with elbows. He sliced him open with elbows. Hurt him with a shot. Spinning elbow landed on Caolan Loughran as well. I thought that would do enough to mitigate the couple of takedowns without anything being done with them that Loughran got in that round. He outlanded him, he outdamaged him, and he smashed him with elbows at the end of the round. What are we doing here? I don't understand, but they gave it to Loughran. It was very close, because robberies are close, but we always know the winner, and the judges always don't. Blachowicz. Oh, God, it's all good, though. Caolan Loughran gets a decision win. It's tough for Fletcher, man. I thought he won that fight, and I picked him to win. And I got ruined on that prediction there. We move on. Shauna Bannon versus Puja Tomar. The women... I don't know. I'm so glad I never made that women's MMA's trash video because the sport has flipped on a dime. It's the complete opposite now. I'm looking forward to women's MMA fights. Finally, a finish can, Finally, we might see a crazy KO or a submission. Looking forward to this one. Shauna Bannon, Puja Tomar. Puja Tomar head kick KOs Shauna Bannon. Let's call it what it is. That's a head kick KO. Follow-up shots put Shauna Bannon out cold. She's out cold. She's a finished fighter. They keep it going. Shauna Bannon left way revives herself. Okay? From that position. Gets head kicked brutally. She's winning the fight. She wins the first round, pushing Puja Tomar backwards. She's doing good in the second as well. Side kick to the body in that. And then Puja Tomar head kick KOs her. And I mean that legitimately. She head kick KOs her. Not she head kicks her and drops her with a head kick. This wasn't Kurt Holland versus Shane Burgos where he got dropped and then he got the submission. She got KO'd with follow-up shots after that head kick. Then she pulls off the submission with an armbar in round 2 and makes Puja Tomar tap. Come back. Puja Tomar's on top. Shauna Bannon locks up an armbar. Gets the submission. I guess Puja Tomar got overexcited about getting a finish. And Shauna Bannon defeats Puja Tomar in round 2 with a submission win. Not after being dropped. After being KO'd by a head kick to ground and pound combo. The referee had about 2 different opportunities where he absolutely justifiably could have stepped in. And not even Shauna Bannon to be complaining. Not even her corner would be complaining. No one would be. And then Puja's ground and pound revived Shauna Bannon and then she got an armbar. Crazy submission. Crazy win. Got the 50k bonus, I'm sure. I don't know anyone else on the card who deserved it other than Brady, but really good win from Shauna Bannon. Really, really good win. We move on. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Andrey Pulyaev. I mean, Christian Leroy Duncan, I picked him to win. I said he would get a finish. I said that Andrey Pulyaev's going to be too easy to hold against the cage. He moves backwards too much. He's too hesitant. Leroy Duncan will lead the dance. And it was a bit of a dead fight as well until the last moments. It really was. Christian Leroy Duncan looked good. He looked technical. He had a first round of holding Pulyaev against the cage, which is what I said would happen. He's kneeing the thigh over and over again. He's winning the round based on that. Round 2, a little bit better for Pulyaev early, but Leroy Duncan gets his momentum and starts landing some decent shots towards the end, and then we end up against the cage again, kneeing in the thigh and punching and failing takedowns, and that was another round for Christian Leroy Duncan. And round 3, towards the end of round 3, after it was seeming like it was going to get booed, he starts, first of all, cracking Pulyaev on the feet. Also in the second round, he landed some good shots as well. But then at the end of the round, he starts teeing off on Pulyaev, wakes up the crowd, and then they forget that he just bored them to death for 2.5 rounds. So, good win from Christian Leroy Duncan. As predicted, it was a bit of a layup for him, but he won the fight. So, good job. 30-27. If there was another 30 seconds, he probably would have finished Pulyaev, to be honest with you. He was kneeing him in the face up against the cage, and Pulyaev was slowing down as the fight went on. We move on. Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. I thought Mick Parkin won. I rewatched it. Now, it was close. And I did give Marcin Tybura the first round. But Mick Parkin won the second and third round. I really think he did. It was a close round. Tybura might have been a tapping strike ahead, but then Parkin stuffed a takedown, punched him in the head about 12 times, and then cracked him with 2 big shots at the end of the round. That gives Mick Parkin... What are we doing with this? Why are we like... Well, we've got to give Marcin Tybura the benefit of the doubt if it's close. This isn't John Jones against Reyes. Like, some of the decisions, I'm like, this is such a robbery. But they're close. But this actually was closer than Jones-Reyes. Reyes beat that fucking pussy's ass. Either way. I've seen decisions where I'm like, okay, Adesanya Whittaker 2. I could see the argument for Whittaker, but it's too close and Adesanya's the champ. Romero Adesanya. People have the argument Romero actually won in rounds 1, 2, and 5. But, not much happened. What's the benefit of you've got to beat the Tybura to beat the Tybura? What are we doing here? He ain't no champ. You got to beat the Blob King to beat the Blob King. You know what I mean? You can't just go you just can't go scathing by. You know, you can't scrape by against the King of Blobs. You've got to really make it clear. Put him against Shamil Gaziev. Put him against Shamil next. It's a good old-fashioned blob off, to be honest with you. I thought Parkin won the second and third round. To be fair, Parkin is better than all of the other blobs at heavyweight. He is. I just think this was his run. This was the chance for him. And now he might run into like a Taliesin Teixeira or an Austin Lingo. Or not Austin Lingo. He's a fucking lightweight fighter. That's even cut from the UFC. Waldo Cortez Acosta. I thought Austin Lane's who I'm thinking of. Or a Waldo Cortez Acosta, or, you know what I mean? Now I think it might be too much. But I think this was his chance to, like, get a big opportunity. And I think it's just been taken away. I thought he won the fight. You know, round 1, Tybura gets a takedown at the end. Other than that, Mick Parkin stays committed. I think he stung Tybura in the 3rd round that, like, made him go funny for a second as well. Yes, he did. I remember it in my head now. Round 2, he gets a takedown on Tybura. Gets him down, stays on top, batters him with ground and pound in that round. Reverses position. Stays on top. Tybura's trying to counter wrestle against him. He does very well to shut it down. This ain't your average blob. You know what I mean? But you've got to beat the Blob King to beat the Blob King. You can't just go edging him out by decision, I guess. So that was another prediction that got ruined of mine. I thought Parkin won. Close fight, though. Should have made it clearer. It's fucking Marcin Tybura. What are we doing? But I had Fletcher and Parkin, and the crazy part is they're both English, and there was no home judging. This weren't like a Dagestani and Abu Dhabi type thing. Like, this was... They're going above and beyond to be unbiased, I feel like. So... There you go. They went with Marcin Tybura to win. I thought Parkin clearly won. I'm looking at his numbers here. 38-28 on strike, 65-31. I know it's by rounds, but round 3 and 2, he did more, and he did better. But there you go. We move on. Lona Kavanaugh versus Felipe dos Santos. First round was a little tricky for Lona Kavanaugh. He got cut open, but Lona Kavanaugh's very good. I mean, when you consider that Felipe dos Santos had a pretty close fight with Manel Cap on short notice. Manel Cap never used his lethal eye poke combinations on him, though. So that might be a thing. But then Lona Kavanaugh just sort of resorted to his grappling in the 2nd and 3rd. He thought, okay, Felipe's a wild striker. He's throwing crazy techniques at me. He's trying to catch me on the feet. And they were both going tit for tat in the 1st round. I thought Felipe dos Santos won the 1st round. But Lona Kavanaugh was like, okay, I'm going to grapple. I've got it in my back pocket. 2nd and 3rd round, he goes out there. And you know what? Him being cut open in the 1st round by Felipe dos Santos on his head and bleeding so much, that actually really benefited him in this fight if you watch it back. Round 2 and 3, there were moments, they're guillotine attempts. They weren't real guillotine attempts, but he was slipping out of them because of the blood. Like, the blood was making it so that he could sort of, like, do what he wanted on top, and Felipe didn't have any grip to get, like, an arm bar or his legs up high or... You know, any, like, Holland stuff to stop Gunnar Nelson doing what he wanted, if you know what I'm saying. So, Lona Kavanaugh, really devastating ground and pound in the 2nd and 3rd. It was crazy going from the heavyweights to watching this because I was like, oh, Lona's got a takedown. Oh, no, wait, Felipe scrambled out of it immediately, and now they're right back into another scramble, and then they're back down, they're back up again. So, it's always crazy seeing the difference, but... Yeah, Lona Kavanaugh wins the fight. Dominant ground and pound in the 2nd and 3rd round. Left it a bit close in some of the rounds. Felipe was doing a lot of good work off of his back, but Lona was doing really nasty looking ground and pound when he did let go. Elbows, punches. Devastating looking ground and pound. I can't believe he didn't get a knockout from ground and pound, but really good win from Lona Kavanaugh. Really solid win from Lona Kavanaugh. We move on. Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. I actually had Chris Padilla winning this fight. Going into it, a lot of people didn't pick him to win, but I picked him to win this one. And then when this one came up big for me, I was like, oh, I'm genius. My pick, I'm going to ace the card. You know what I mean? I'm such a genius. The only time that can be wrong is by robbery. You know what I mean? But no. I thought Chris Padilla won, though. He did win. I thought he got the 1st and 2nd round. He landed the better shots. He had the cage control. I hate that that's now a factor in the sport, but he had the cage control. He was kneeing the thigh a bunch in the 1st and 2nd round. And when Jai Herbert ain't doing anything at range on the feet, very Leon Edwards-ish, and they're very similar people and very similar training. They're training partners as well, you know? So very, very similar. They both came up the same gym, both trained with each other their whole career. And they're both doing the same type of thing. They're just not doing enough, and they're letting fights come to them. You have to lead the dance. In modern MMA, you have to lead the dance. I know Ilya's the matador, but he leads the dance every time. He's anything but it. You know what I mean? So I feel like you have to lead the dance. You can't wait for fights to come to you, or you will get held against the cage. You'll be kneed in the thigh. People will throw first against you. It's much trickier to land counter shots on people these days with the amount that they're able to shoot takedowns. Chris Padilla won the first 2 rounds. Barely. But I thought he landed better. And he had the moments against the cage with the kneeing of the thigh. Round 3, Jai Herbert won the round. He got wobbled at one point, but he won the round. He kneed Chris Padilla in the face. He landed some good shots towards the end. Landed good shots throughout the round as well. But it was just too little too late, and Chris Padilla won the first 2 rounds. So I said 29-28 decision for Padilla, and he won a 29-28 decision. We move on to the main card. Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charriere. Now, this was actually one of the good performances of the card. There were other good performances. I was just wrong about them. But this was actually a good win from Nathaniel Wood. I thought Morgan Charriere was going to win. Because I thought he was too big for Wood. And I've seen Wood, like, badly hurt by Daniel Pineda. And, like, Daniel Pineda's on top of him, raining down elbows. And, you know, you go back through Nathaniel Wood's career and I'm like, okay, well, Naimov beat him. But Naimov's tough, but he cheated. So, okay, that's whatever. But Naimov really badly hurt him. You know? Andrey Philly really badly hurt him. It was a very, very close fight. He had him near finished in the first round of that fight. So all of these moments, and then one other thing I mentioned going into this fight as well, which is why I picked Charriere, is that Wood is really good, but he always fumbles finishes. He'll hurt someone and let them right back into the fight. Every single time he does that. He hurt Naimov, let him back into the fight with bad decision making. Same thing with Andrey Philly as well. There's so many of these moments. Even Daniel Pineda, hurt him bad. Looks like it should be on a highlight reel. It's not a TKO finish. They end up going to a decision. Same with Charles Jourdain. Hurt him twice. Ended up letting it go to a decision. That was very competitive as well. Even Rosa had a good third round against him. Either way, sensational performance from Nathaniel Wood. I just wanted to point out he did fumble that finish again. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with Nathaniel Wood. He says he's got anxiety. That's been a big thing of him. Maybe he just doesn't. I don't know what it is. Maybe he does see someone's hurt in front of him and go, ugh. Maybe there isn't that lizard-brained, I'm going to kill him. You know what I mean? Maybe it does. Maybe he is just a martial artist that isn't. He doesn't have that lizard switch in his brain to just absolutely tear someone up once he like hurts them bad. So it is what it is. But really, really good performance from Nathaniel Wood, sorry. I need to break that down. Nasty knockout. He looks the best striker you've ever seen. He just does look like the best striker you've ever seen. And Charriere, let's just call it what it is, got shut the fuck down in that fight. Round 1, Wood goes for the finish, ends up trying to pull a guillotine. Never pull a guillotine unless you're Chris Duncan. We'll get to Vucenic in a second. Guillotines are back, apparently, now. But he pulled a guillotine on Morgan Charriere. Charriere ends up on top, landing some punches here and there, but he's already been dropped badly. He's lost the round. 2 and 3, Wood shuts him down. Charriere lands good here and there, but he made Charriere look really bad. And that's very, very difficult to do because Charriere, nobody makes Charriere look bad. Paul Hughes, very, very razor close fight. I don't know if I can... Jordan Vucenic, I don't know if I can keep using you as an example of why someone's so good for beating you. That decision making was... but we'll get to it. But rounds 2 and 3, Nathaniel Wood shut him down. I'm going to find the official numbers now of the second and third round. Wood, 35-18 in the second round. Clearly won it. His jab was great. You know, really, really solid jab. Low kicks were really good as well. And then he kind of abandoned them in the third round, but he still won the third, in my opinion. He still won the third. Landing the better shots. Yeah, Charriere really got shut down 30-27 over 3 rounds. I didn't think I'd ever say that, but... yeah, he had a ton of hype coming into this, and Wood genuinely just destroyed it. So I think Wood should get a ranked opponent, or should get someone who's going to get him in that number 15 position if he wins against him that's also outside the rankings. Who knows? We move on. Up the card, Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. Now, if you guys are unaware, I have been hyping up Jordan Vucenic since 2019. And he went through the regional scene. And he got to the UFC. He had some hiccups on the regional scene. He lost to Paul Hughes. He's 1-1 with Paul Hughes. You know. But he got cut on the eye. He got cut on the eye early against Paul Hughes. It changed the dynamic of the fight. And I've been singing Jordan Vucenic's praises for a long time. And he had a great debut, we thought. Before we now know that Guram Kutaledze's garbage. But I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll be honest with Jordan Vucenic, who I often message, and who often messages me. Stop fucking shooting takedowns when you're winning on the feet. For the love of fucking God, please. You're dumb. It was just dumb. It was dumb, and I have to call it what it was. It was dumb fight IQ, and it pissed me right off. Okay? I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I'm actually going to hit Jordan Vucenic with one of them. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. And I know he is as well. I could see it on his face afterwards. Brother, listen, I know the feeling now. You don't want to let fights come to you. This ain't Christian Medov, Duncan Medov, brother. Okay? Then I would understand, Volk goes a bit offensive in the grappling against Makhachev. This ain't the same thing. Okay? If Duncan gets you down in the first with a knockdown out of nowhere, okay, you're too lackadaisical start of the fight. You needed to switch on a little bit better. All good. He catches you and gets you down and holds you down. Duncan gets a good win, by the way. The guy's the king of upsets. Never expected to win. Keeps pulling them off with guillotines. Seems to be the case with Chris Duncan. So he's built together quite a bit of a resume as well. I'm spitting everywhere. And I know he got you down in the second, but man, you were doing your thing in the second round on the feet. I was thinking, oh, here we go. He cut him open with the elbows. Vucenic cut him with the elbows that he was landing when he went for the takedown. You sliced him open. I was thinking, well, Duncan hadn't done anything with the takedown. Vucenic has won that exchange. He landed a bunch of elbows and he cut him open with them. Huge. If nothing else is happening. Then he's landing on the feet against Duncan. Shoots in and gets it snapped down. It was a terrible shot. It was a terrible shot. And he got it snapped down. And I'm screaming, why? Why are we shooting a takedown? You're faster on the feet. Oh. This one stung. Because I've been along for the ride. And, maybe I need to send Jordan Vucenic a picture of Charles Oliveira. After this. Just to show, listen, man, he had his losses as well. But I don't know if it's going to be an Oliveira turnaround. I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like my world's crumbling around me. And I'm not Jordan Vucenic. And that just goes, it's tough, man. It's tough. He looked like he was doing his thing in the second. On the feet. Looking really, and I was even like, dude, that right hand looked really good. He didn't even land it. But he was looking good on the feet. He was landing better shots. He had Duncan's, shooting bad shot in the second after getting stung with a left hook. He even had him off balance after a left hook as well. So I was like, oh, here we go. Then he shoots again. He shoots again with his head on the outside against a guy with a nasty guillotine. He shoots again and gets subbed and taps to a guillotine. Crushed. I'm crushed. I'm absolutely crushed and devastated. George Hardwick lost yesterday and now this. Now this! I can't even get a Vucenic win to cheer me up. Harry Hardwick didn't even get a definitive win. He had a head clash, but he was winning every round before then. It's not good enough. Next thing, Leon Arms is going to get fucking knee barred on the regional scene. I'm going to lose my... I just feel like nothing's going my way. Okay? I feel like the universe hates me. I'm crushed. I'm going to be honest with you, Vucenic. Retarded decision making. The only way I can put it. Retarded decision making. I know you want to be well-rounded and you want to shoot before he shoots on you because you've been held down. You need to know where you're doing well and where you want to keep it. You know what I mean? Because that was just... I was screaming when he was shooting takedowns. No! You just separated. Stop re-engaging in his world. But it's all good. Duncan wins by guillotine. Good job, Chris Duncan. He spoke to me as well. Not in nice ways, but he's also interacted with me on Instagram. But it's all good. Good win by Chris Duncan. Great guillotine. Probably should get a 50k performance bonus. Calls out Terence McKinney. So there you go. That's the future of lightweight. Fucking hell, Vucenic. You know what I'm sad about? He might think, I'll move down to featherweight. And then I'm worried he might get chinned because of the weight drop. I'm terrified. I'm terrified for the future. One more chance, UFC. Come on. Or just one more. You know? Just one more chance. Ronda, Vucenic, Charriere rematch. You know what I mean? I don't know what we're going to do. We move on. Up the card. Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. I picked Thainara to win. This one was obvious to me. She has good grappling, and I saw it on the Contender Series, and I said she's going to get down Molly McCann and do what she wants with her. I didn't think it would be a first-round submission, no. But it was a first-round submission. And you know what's worse about this? Sad to see Molly McCann lose, you know, great championship run that she had. People are posting the tweet of her running around with a championship belt. Thainara beat her up. She did all right on the feet, to be fair, early on, but she got taken down and then just didn't have an answer on the ground whatsoever for the grappling of Thainara. Too big, too strong. Threw it back in the center of the octagon after just fucking face planting on the canvas, pretty much. The worst part was, and this is it's so selfish of me to even think this way, ruined my relationship. I can see it now, uploaded by a clip channel. MMA Guru dies laughing at chat making Molly McCann jokes. I'm finished! I'm finished! Me and Paddy had worked it out! I'm finished! There's no hope for me now. I'm absolutely cooked and finished. Paddy was crying and I'm laughing about it. I'm absolutely done. He invited me on his podcast. I can't show my face. I might have to choke out Molly McCann in self-defense at this point. I'm actually going to have to start training, so in case she tries to fucking confront me, I might just have to guillotine her out cold. Because it's just, I'm finished. I built this rapport. And then here chat was being so fucking funny. Molly Mc can't win a fight. Molly McTapper, Molly Mc can't breathe, Molly the can, Molly McChoked, Molly Mc put the fries in the bag. It was so funny. It was so funny. Paddy the Saddy, people. Paddy was crying. Paddy was crying and my chat was spamming. This is just my chat. Paddy was crying his eyes out at Molly losing and retiring. And my chat is spamming Paddy the Saddy. This is what they're spamming in my chat. I can't maintain a fighter relationship. He's going to be morbid. He's going to be so upset and think, MMA Guru, lad, let's see what he had to say about that. This fucking bitch. I bet you anything. If he's being nice to me after this, it's fake and he wants me choked out on his podcast live. I don't know. I'm finished. Molly McCann gets destroyed and retires. It's tough, man. Paddy the Saddy was being... like, that's how they... just nothing taken serious at all. And I'm supposed to be professional reacting to fights. And I see Paddy crying. I look over and it's Paddy the Saddy is the first thing I see. As he's crying tears about one of his best friends losing. I'm cooked. I'm finished. And it was just... There was collateral L's that were taken here. Let alone with predictions. I got that one correct, though. We move on. Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. I picked Gunnar. Oh, my God. I went like 5-8 on predictions this card. It was bad. But if I would have gone 8-5. If I got the Parkin decision, the Blachowicz decision, we'll get to it. And then also the fucking Fletcher decision. I should have got all three of them. That's so bullshit. I would have had good picks otherwise. But either way, I'll get cooked for it. Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Holland. Holland hit him with a 45-70. Holland hit him with a 45-70 at the end of the first round. He really did. He hit him with that 45-70 at the end of the first. Gunnar got the takedowns. I said Gunnar's gonna get the takedowns, which means he'll submit Kevin Holland. Was it a bad take? It was probably a bad take, right? But Gunnar, I think, is such a surgical jiu-jitsu ace. That's how I view him in his career. Like, okay, if you can stuff the takedowns, you can beat Gunnar Nelson. But I viewed Gunnar like, okay, if he gets dominant position, he's going to finish from there. But then I should have think, but he didn't even submit Takashi Saito. And he had his back for 3 rounds. So that was like maybe it was a misjudged prediction. I should have gone Kevin Holland probably. It's hard to go with Kevin Holland when he doesn't even go with himself with picking fights. You know what I mean? That is also a difficult bit. But round 1, Holland's outstriking him. Gunner's doing all right here and there. He's not completely outmatched on the feet. He was later in the fight. But then he gets the takedown on Kevin Holland after struggling early on. He struggles a lot. He fails a lot of attempts. But eventually he does get the takedown. And he ends up like standing up with Holland like attached to him. So crazy strength. Holland's got his arm tied up and Gunner's like stood up with him, trying to get past the legs of Holland. Easier said than done, apparently. The guy's legs are he's a spindly guy. Okay? So Kevin Holland fights like someone's just stole his galaxy gas. That's the only way I can describe it. He fights like a real dangerous YN. Okay? Real dangerous Ajit is what Kevin Holland fights like. Very, very dangerous. I mean, he won. Dropped Gunner at the end of the first. Gunner gets saved by the bell. Let's just call it what it was. Saved by the bell. Would have been finished there. Round 2. Because when Gunner gets up after the knockdown, his legs are gone from under him. So it's actually remarkable that he even made it to a decision here. What the fuck is that? It's remarkable that he even made it to a decision here. Mustache hair curling up in my face. My bad. But round 2, he gets the takedown again. He keeps getting the takedowns, but he can't get past Holland's guard. And Holland is being dangerous off of his back. He's heel kicking him, punching him off of his back, elbowing off. I had Holland every round. I know people had Gunner 2-1, or not Gunner 2-1. They had it 2-1, you know, the close rounds. But I thought, no, Holland's doing way more damage here. And the only real submission attempt that Gunner had was in round 3, where he actually had Mount at one point. But Holland kicks off the cage like fucking Deadpool. You know, I mean, he's got that main character plot armor, I guess, in this fight. When he's at 170, he's actually a lot more difficult to deal with. But Holland kicks himself off the cage in the 3rd round and escapes Mount against Gunner, which was huge for him because Gunner from Mount is very, very good. So that's his big spot. On the back, not so much, but from Mount, he has options on what he wants to go for. Eventually, he got it again, and then he went to an arm triangle. And he actually kind of had it. If he could have slid his hips out to the side, he would have finished that arm triangle. But again, Kevin Houdini Holland makes his miraculous escape. At one time, they showed stats and it had him landing 45 strikes. That was a good moment. But in round 3, he escapes the arm triangle. Ends up back on his feet. They're both scrapping in the clinch. Holland's getting the better of it. Gunner's not as good on the feet at all, is he? And in the clinch, he was just too lazy. And Holland was tall. So it's like Gunner had to keep posture. But even while keeping posture, he's at like Kevin Holland's shoulder height. So even in a tight clinch, Holland can just blast knees and elbows and punches. And Gunner did good with the grappling. He just didn't capitalize off of his positional advantage that he ever had. And Holland's very difficult to pass the guard off. Very difficult, you know. They are bigger at middleweight. When they get him down, they can hold him down. When they get him down, they can pass through the guard a little bit better. At welterweight, Holland's a little different. He really is. So hopefully he stays here. No more middleweight moves. If he's going to stick around, he should stick around at Gunner, at welterweight, in my opinion. And Gunner, named Gunner, got hit with that 45-70. Your name's Gunner and you don't know what a 45-70 is? Now I'm mad. Your name's Gunner. Parents called you Gunner. You don't know what a 45-70 is? Now I'm mad. Called you Gunner Nelson. Don't know what a 45-70 is. Big guy. Called Gunner. Don't know what a 45-70 is. Now I'm mad. That was my hat I was going to switch to if Strickland beat DDP in the rematch. Here we go. Moving up. Co-main event. Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Jan Blachowicz won rounds 1 and 3. You cannot convince me otherwise. I don't care what the weasel may go back and check. This tapping low kick to the inside leg was actually a medium strike, you guys. I don't care. Round 2, I can see Ulberg's way. He landed some good right hands. He landed some good punches in round 3. Jan took round 3 in the final 30 seconds. And he pushed forward the whole fight. And he checked a bunch of low kicks. Because I'm seeing significant strikes counted for Carlos Ulberg. A lot of them were checked. And we know how Jan Blachowicz does when he checks low kicks. His legs are probably burning right now, Carlos Ulberg. and they just gave him the win. Close fight. Dull fight. But very technical fight. For light heavyweight. Very technical fight. Jan Blachowicz run rounds 1 and 3. Rounds 1 and 3. Little tongue twister there. Ulberg's shots that he landed, in my opinion, although there were some good ones, they weren't as effective as Jan's. And you can say, cut on Jan's eye. He's 42 years old. I get it, though. I'm broken by that. Jan has been done so dirty throughout his career. In my honest opinion, chat, let me know if I'm wrong. Did you ever see Ulberg land a shot that made you say, "Oh"? At any point in the fight, there were a couple moments where he threw a right hand that Jan rolled with. That I was like, "Oh, good right hand there." Jan actually landed the shots that made you go, "Oh, good heavy low kick." That was a really good low kick from Jan. I never ended up saying that about Ulberg in this fight. I ended up saying, "Oh, that might have landed." Or, there's another tapping low kick. He's tapping at the low kick again. Round 1 is Jan. I think pretty clearly. Close, though. Can't be confident. This is what I was telling my chat. Like, Jan won the first round, but don't all be confident. We know how the judging's going to go. Ulberg's tapping with his little toes. He's landing with toes. He's kicking Jan Blachowicz's knee with his toes. And we're giving significant strikes. His toes are cooked. It's all good. Jan's landing the proper low kicks, in my opinion. Sinking into the meat of the leg of Carlos Ulberg. Deadening the leg of his. Swelling visible. You know, if you want to talk about the cut on Jan's eye. But the swelling on Ulberg's leg. I'm turning to Joe Rogan here, I know, but this is true. He was chopping at the leg of Carlos Ulberg. Round 1 is Jan, but it's close. Round 2, I'll go Ulberg. I'm happily going to go Ulberg. Close round, but Ulberg landed more, and he actually landed a couple decent right hands in that round and some jabs. His jab found a bit more of a home. Round 3, Jan Blachowicz fucking won the fucking round. Ulberg landed a couple moments where he landed a good punch, but Jan landed him back. Jan was the one landing the good low kicks and checking Ulberg's quite a lot in that fight. I swear that should count towards the guy checking the kick. If you check a kick and you go shin to shin, first of all, it benefits Jan Blachowicz, but I get why you don't want to say just because it's Jan Blachowicz and we know that his legs are built different, you can't just change the scoring for that. I get it. But here's one thing you can do. If someone checks a kick and you're punting them with your toes to their knee or their shin, that's absolutely a benefit to the guy checking the low kick. And then at the end of the third round, Jan lands a good body kick, a good low kick, a good punch upstairs, a heavy low kick again, another body kick. And I'm thinking, he secured it. This round has been very close. Jan has landed better. Ulberg's touched more because he's tappy. Oh, no, he's coming for me. Run. Move away. Tappy. Peppy, jab, tappy. That's all he was doing. All good, though. Jan's moving forward the whole fucking time. They're showing stats. Distance time. Time been at distance. I'm not kidding. They're actually showing stats like that. That's how you know you're in for a robbery. Jan Blachowicz won round 3 at the end of the round. He did. He landed better shots in round 3. He actually stung Ulberg with shots in round 3 that made me go, oh. He landed a jab on Ulberg that made Ulberg shudder for a second at the jab that was landed. Ulberg didn't have a moment like that. He just peppered at him. The only moments where I went, when someone went like this after a shot had landed, were when Jan landed on Ulberg. And he kept up. That should have been a differentiating factor. But every single judge gave it to Carlos Ulberg. They disagreed on the rounds. 2 of the judges gave it to him based on 1 and 2. 1 gave it to him based on 3 and 2. So the judges could see arguments for Jan, but none of them scored it for Jan Blachowicz. Broken. My disappointment is immeasurable. My day's ruined. That would have been a massive underdog pick for me. He was such a big underdog. Never count Jan Blachowicz out. But now, I don't know if he's going to have the motivation to continue because this is like the 4th time this has happened in his career. We move on. Up the card. Sean Brady versus Leon Edwards. Now, here we go. I picked Leon Edwards because I thought Belal's above Sean Brady. And he is. We know that because he TKO'd Sean Brady. So I thought to myself, you know what? I was watching back the Belal versus Edwards fight. Edwards didn't do as bad as I thought. When I'm looking at, okay, well, Edwards has had moments where he's been out-grappled before and people have been able to out-grapple him. Usman bullied him in the rematch. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, he didn't really do that much. And I'm using that to be like, well, Edwards has like, he reversed Belal's position a ton in that fight. He had a lot of reversals. He ended up on top a lot. He got takedowns on Belal. So I'm thinking, oh, okay. I think he can like withstand Brady, and Brady's just not the same on the feet as the other guys. And to be fair, Brady did have moments on the feet, but he still is throwing like a tard coming forward quite often, it seems. But I didn't realize that Brady is just going to absolutely bully Leon Edwards into the mat and brutalize him until he submits him and he quits. Sean Brady, listen, I said this as a tweet. I don't know how much interaction it has. I imagine the tweet is like, you know, agreed upon by the MMA community. I said this, and what did I say? Watching what Sean Brady is doing to Leon Edwards right now, it makes you realize Kamaru Usman was never bullying Leon. Straight up, nothing like this. This is bullying. That's what I said on Twitter. And it's so true. Some of them, there were a couple, I was, you know, I love to call out back of the head shots. There were a couple. I was over-exaggerating how many, but there were a couple. A lot of them, but cheating is legal. And it weren't that bad. They were like back of the head shots from when he was in the back position. You know what I mean? So they're not going to finish a fight from there. He's not getting full weight or momentum behind them. It's just out of like the 10 that he threw, 1 or 2 would hit the back of the head. It's all good. I'm not going to harp on it. But Brady absolutely ragdolled him and made him quit. Usman, you know how the quote is, don't let him bully you, son? But that weren't bullying. That was like mediocre outperforming. If you want to call it what it was. That was not bullying in any way. Usman never bullied Colby Covington. Never at one point did he bully Colby Covington. He had some dominant position. But no, he merely just out-grappled Covington. What am I saying, Covington? He merely just out-grappled Edwards. But he was never bullying Edwards. You know? Never. He had dominant position. He had him against the cage. Brady bullied Leon Edwards. Straight up bullied him. And I thought, okay, well, Edwards, you know, he actually did pretty good against Belal. When you look back at the fight, you know, 3-2 on rounds, arguably. And it's not the domination people think it is. And it's Leon Edwards, you know, former champ. Like, how is he the underdog here? And Brady's taking the fight on 3.5 weeks notice or 4 weeks notice. It's not a full training camp for him. And then Brady just has the performance of his life. We've never seen Brady like this. This was the performance of his career. Absolutely the performance of his career. Even Burns didn't get done like this. Burns got beaten up and I'm farting now. That's how angry I am. Burns didn't get beaten up like this. He did get he lost and he lost dominantly. But I took that as, oh, well, Burns is done. You know, sometimes it's hard to know if, oh, is Brady that good or is Burns just not throwing back? Because at times, Burns literally wasn't throwing back on Sean Brady. He just wasn't throwing back at him. And I picked Brady to beat Burns, actually. But I picked it on the condition that, listen, Burns had so many wars. He's getting up there in age, you know. But this was just a clinic. This was an absolute clinic by Sean Brady. Gastelum scrambled better than this. You know what I mean? But Brady had him in more submission attempts, eventually finished him in the 3rd round as well. But, you know, this was insane. And it's one of those and he goes eventually, let me tell you what happens in the fight. Round 1, he pushes Edwards back. He's landing some, but Edwards is landing good back. I wonder what the stats were in round 1. I would imagine it was actually pretty close. Yeah, Edwards was up on strikes in round 1. But Brady got a takedown at the end of the round, and immediately I'm like, oh no. This isn't a good sign, you know? But Edwards is landing good. He's doing good work in the clinch, knee in the body. He stuffs takedowns pretty well early on. I believe he stuffed 2 of the takedowns. Oh my God, I forgot that he shot in himself in the 3rd round. Oh, you thought Vucenic got it bad from me. You're out-grappled by him. Avoid it. Avoid it like the plague. He's stronger than you. You're faster, leaner, slicker. I forgot that he shot in the third round. Round 1, Brady gets him down. Pretty competitive round, though. I don't know what the scorecards were. I would imagine they gave it to Brady because he landed good shots himself. But Edwards cut him on the eye. MMA decisions. What did they have for... What did they have here? UFC scorecards. Let's have a little look. Scorecards for UFC London. I wonder if any judge gave it to Edwards, because I do remember him landing some good elbows off the break. Wasn't he landing a lot of good elbows off the break? Everyone gave it to Brady. Yeah, I thought Brady got the first as well, but it was a close round. Closer than the other two. Maybe it just seemed close because the others were such absolute brutal domination. But Edwards is cooked and finished. This is the story of the fight. Round 2, Brady gets him down early, dominates the whole round, batters him from the back position. Edwards is doing good to like get to the next position, but he batters him and gets him done. Round 3, they're at range. They're both landing, and Edwards shoots in. Edwards shoots in. An awful takedown attempt from Edwards. Disgusting takedown attempt. Gets it sprawled immediately and position reversed on him. Now Brady's on top. He gets back up. He works the next best position. Edwards is good at like, okay, next best position. Okay, next best position. Okay, I've got to break the body triangle. Okay, I've got to get out of this. And then Brady in round 4 gets him down, beats him up a bit, and then gets him in like a one-armed guillotine, which he's actually got. That's actually a signature move. I don't think he finished it in a one-armed guillotine. I'm fairly certain he finished him with the grip, but he's actually had a lot of one-armed guillotines. So I was like, oh my God, he can actually get this from here, because he has another one on Jake Matthews, I believe. Brady has Jake Matthews an arm triangle, I think. It was Christian Aguilera, but not a big name that you would know of, but he got a one-armed guillotine choke on him. So because of his back muscles, I think he can like hold his own lat. I swear to God, Brady gets a grip of his own lat and like squeezes a one-armed guillotine in those positions. I actually think that's not far off what he does. He like hooks his fist on his own lat muscle that's tensed and then cranks it with a one-armed guillotine. He submitted Edwards in round 4. It was one of those fights where you go from, when Edwards was champ and you think, I don't know who's going to beat him. I don't know who's going to beat Leon Edwards. He's looking great. He's looking better than ever. And now I'm thinking, I don't know who Edwards beats. I don't know how he was ever champ. It actually does. This is one of the few sports where that happens to you. Same thing with like Usman. But Usman's Chimaev performance is actually saving him so much. But when you really think about Usman and Edwards' welterweight run that they had, their best wins are Covington. I hate to do this right now, but really go through their careers. And hindsight is 2020, right? Brady, amazing win. I think do him versus Buckley next. But hindsight is 2020. Look at Edwards' wins. Gunnar Nelson, split decision. The Bilal loss is his best performance. In a weird way. Gunnar Nelson, split decision. Donald Cerrone, 3-2 on 2 scorecards. 4-1 on a scorecard. Nearly loses to Nate fucking Diaz. RDA, 3-2. 4-1 on a scorecard. The 2 Usman fights. First one, he's losing. He gets the head kick. Second one, he just outright wins. Pretty clear, in my opinion. Covington, decision. Did he lose a round there as well? I think he lost one of the later rounds of the fight. He lost a round unanimously to Colby Covington. I mean, when you really think about it in hindsight, and then you go to Usman's resume and you think, Masvidal twice, Burns, Covington twice, cheated a bunch in the first Covington fight, was a draw in the second Covington fight. He lost the last 3 rounds, but the second was a 10-8 and should have been given a 10-8 round. RDA, Emil Meek, Sergio Moraes, Damian Maia. I mean, he got saved against Damian Maia because they took him off of Maia's back. Took him 5 rounds. Strickland, okay, it's a good win in hindsight, but at the time it wasn't rated very highly. What are these resumes? Look what I've just read you there. Edwards' resume, then you look at Usman's, Covington twice, Masvidal twice. Woodley's a great win at the time that he got it. Very, very good win. But then after the slide, it just seems it just seems not as impressive at all. And then Burns. Burns a good win at the time that he got it. Very good win at the time that he got it. Let me read you Bilal Muhammad's resume. Leon Edwards beats him clearly. Gilbert Burns beats him clearly on a week's notice. Okay? I know Burns was injured, but still. Sean Brady, TKO. Vicente Luque in a rematch. Luque looked good compared to these guys. All good. Luque actually wrestled better than nearly everyone Bilal's fought. I can't pick JDM anymore. Wonderboy Thompson. Also Damian Maia, better than the other guys beat him. Shut down everything against Maia without any help from the refs. His fucking resume does plummet after that, to be fair. But that's a great run already. If he gets JDM on there, I don't know, man. It feels like the welterweight division has been filler since GSP left. And now we're in this new era where people are actually good again. I hate to say it. But there we are. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. My picks were terrible. But to be fair, I know everyone's going to get on to me about my picks. If they gave Blachowicz to fight, which I think they should have done. And then if they gave, all ifs with you, Guru. If Blachowicz got the win, Parkin got the win, and Fletcher got the win, I'm 8-5 on picks. With a very, upset heavy card anyway. So, I thought I did okay, but, sometimes you can't get them all. See you later. Like and subscribe. Toodle pip. I don't know what's next for Edwards. I don't know anymore. I don't know if I can pick Tom to beat John. I've taken such a hit. I swear to God, if Aspinall shoots in on Jones and gets... I swear, if Aspinall shoots in on Jones and gets guillotined, or fumbles a finish against Jones and guillotines himself on bottom position, I might be done on this earth. I don't know if I'm going to be done watching fight. I might be done on this earth. See you later. Goodbye.